Yes, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever suits your time zone, and I hope you are all doing well, staying safe, and more importantly, let's keep praying for the people of Ukraine because of the crisis over there. There's so many people are dying. The conflict hasn't come to an end. It still looks like there's no end in sight. Negotiations for peace haven't worked. Hopefully, that happens as soon as possible. And first, I'd like to say thank you for Tobago. I know probably you're still at work. Usually at this time, you say you're at work. I hope you're doing well, my brother. Thank you for stopping by. And today, first, we'll first look at the news. What's in the news? We'll talk about what's in the news, and then we'll talk about the sanction update on the sanction from staff, and then we'll review yesterday's match with Chelsea 1-1-0, and that was a huge win for us. A win is a win, no matter the score line, and also we needed that win. Yeah, at least we had something to smile for. Staff, welcome back to Chelsea Perspective.
Hi, thanks for having us back on again.
I know, always a pleasure. It's your home. So how are you doing today, Staff?
Yeah, I'm fine. Was a bit stressed yesterday watching the game, but we got the outcome we wanted. So well played, Jorginho, with the ball, and nice finish, Havertz.
Yeah, your favorite player, right?
Yeah, I've just given you some rope to try and hang me.
No, I think he has it in him. I think his only issue is he doesn't do it quite often, like you mentioned before. And then again, it's not that is the strongest in terms of the physical aspect of the game. But that is, by the way. So we're going to start by looking at what's in the news. And we're using FODMob, which is my favorite app, my favorite go-to app in terms of streams, in terms of pre-game shows and other shows. It is very, very seamless to use, and you can find the Android version. You can find it on Android, Apple products, and Huawei. They're not paying me. I'm not paying them. It just makes the process easy to me, and it's very good. So we'll start by talking about what Peter Cech said when he was interviewed. He said that the club is being run on a day-to-day basis amid ownership crisis. You can go to FODMob and find the complete article there if you want. So, Stav, what do you think about that coming from Peter Cech?
Yeah, things have changed quite a bit since then.
And if you looked, that was just yesterday after the game. And if you looked, he really didn't know how to answer the question, but he had to give them an answer, and that was when he told them the club is being run on a day-to-day basis. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you know the one about Lukaku. We discussed it earlier that we still owe large.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get to it. Yeah. But what do you think about this Peter Cech's comment?
It's he's got to play everything down, hasn't he? Or try and keep people steady and not get overexcited and overreact. But there has been some movement again. So since what do you want to discuss first?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You can talk about what the difference is, because you're talking about what Peter Cech said.
Yeah, he's basically, they're still in negotiations with the government. So as it stands, we have to do as he says. They're dealing with day-to-day things. That's the way it is. But each day something new is agreed. I said from day one, things are going to change every day as we move on. Like I said, the license was prepared by idiots, and now I know who prepared the license. Right? I fully understand how ridiculous that license is, because it's the culture and music and something minister, and she's an absolute waste of space. So it's not a surprise to me that the license was so bad. But slowly they're agreeing to things. They're still not agreeing to letting us sell tickets. They suggested that we give tickets away to the away fans are free. I'm not gonna agree to that myself personally. Why should we allow people in to make noise against us and they're going to be basically ridiculing us? So why would we want to give anything free to them? That's my opinion as a Chelsea fan of long standing.
Yeah, so they're still bent on making sure we don't have any sort of income.
No, we've got income. We've got income.
Where is it coming from? And
right. Well, you want me to say it now, dear? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Right. They've agreed to us keeping our TV money and our prize money. Originally, it was frozen, but they've agreed to release it now. It's estimated about 110 million. So that alone will pay staff, right? The problem is there is running expenses. But it's 110 million with the TV money that we've accumulated so far, with the Champions League money, Super Cup and all that kind of stuff, World Club and Carabao Cup final. They're estimating at 110 million. If we get past Lille on Wednesday, we'll get another 14 something like that million euros. That's what you get for each passing each stage. So there's money going to be coming in, and that Nick Candy guy has offered it, even if he doesn't get the club, he's offered to give them a loan to get through the season. So, as he's a Chelsea fan. So, but that has to be agreed with the government. But I still believe that at some point they'll agree to allowing people in. If Chelsea keeps saying to them, look, we can't keep the staff on without an income coming on a match game.
Okay, let me ask you this. I know you said like 14 million if we get past Lille on Wednesday.
14, a further 14.
Okay,
on top of the 110.
Okay, will that be enough to sustain the club until the transfer of ownership?
Yeah, it should be. Well, that's going to change, isn't it? Because as soon as Wednesday's game's over, then the next round won't be far behind, and they're going to do the draw on Friday for the quarter-final and the semi-final. So the quarter-finals are not going to be too far off. So you've got another 14 million coming in again if you reach quarter-finals. The only thing I don't know, I've not tried to find out from my friend who's at UEFA, but I haven't been able to get through to him, is if it's paid as you go along, or if it's paid at the end of the season. So
yeah, that makes a difference, because if they're not getting it now, then it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, but you're gonna have more prize money coming in every time we appear on Sky or BT. There's going to be a payment for that again. So there is an income. The what you call it? They're not allowed to even print the program, which shows how ridiculous it is. Right? Like, why would you not allow them to print the program? Each program sells for £3.50. So that's only minor. It's not like they're gonna, by printing a program, that Roman's going to benefit from it, or there's a chance of it going into his pocket or whatever. But it gives the fans something, doesn't it? You're showing the fans a bit of respect as well. But apparently they are printing a program, but they can only put it in the executive boxes. So they're looking after the rich again, aren't they? They see what I mean? This is the thought process of these idiots who've made this license. They're allowing it for the media to be distributed to the media. They're allowing it to be distributed to the executive boxes. So this is the thought process that these idiots have gone through. And also anybody who subscribes to the program, at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the program sent to you worldwide, right? Anybody who's already paid their money. See, this is the way that
Let me
countries.
ask you. Yeah, let me ask you this question while we're still at this topic. That the club is being run on a day-to-day basis. The question is, there was something about the deadline for all bids from interested parties to come in. What day was it?
Friday. This
This
Friday.
past Friday.
No, this coming Friday.
Oh, this coming Friday. Okay, so by then, all
18th.
interested parties must have their bids in. And who do you think at this point are the front runners?
If I had to pick one, probably the media group, the Saudi media group. If
Because
I had
they're
to
the
pick
ones
one.
that are being talked about the most. Is that the reason, or do you have any other reason why you think they
No,
are?
I mean the difference is they're being talked about,
Uh-huh.
but they're not actually doing much talking themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is usually the way big business do their business. They do it on the
Mm-hmm.
QT, right? They just get it done and get sorted. It's like the Newcastle takeover when that was being
Mm-hmm.
done. They didn't say much. It was Mike Ashley who was doing most of the talking, the seller.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick Candy was at the game yesterday. I think maybe he'll be maybe second or third, and then the Bowley Weiss one as well. I think they're the main three.
I think Tobago here is saying that Matt Law is saying that Todd Bowley is the front runner.
Well, this is what I'm
Oh.
saying, right? The thing is,
Mm-hmm.
Bowley's doing a lot of talking, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the news is out there. So Matt Law's going to say that. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. Right. But he's the one who talks the most.
Mm-hmm.
There's most noise coming out from there. And if the Saudis are not doing much talking, but they're going to just prepare their bid and get their bid in,
Mm-hmm.
then we see from there, don't we? I mean, all this talking at the moment from
Mm-hmm.
Bowley doesn't mean he's the main runner. It just means that they're going to push that as the main runner because that's the one they're getting the most news from and the most
Mm-hmm.
input from. Matt Law, he works at a Telegraph, which is basically not connected to the government, but they're very pro-government, and they back the government. They put
So
money into it.
you think his comment is relevant at this point?
Yeah, it could be, but I think
Now let's
I
go
think
ahead.
it's because they're the ones doing most of the talking, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
Candy, isn't it? But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Candy's not saying that he's definitely going to get it, right? He's saying that
Mm-hmm.
he's working to getting it, and what he wants to do if he gets it. Now he was at the game yesterday, and he was asked on his way in what's happening, and they
Yeah,
said,
we'll get to yeah, which is what brings me to this comment here, and that shows the guy really loves Chelsea. I think his comment shows deep down the way he's even sounding when he was responding to that question showed he's a bit worried that the club is being punished, and he went out to even say that it doesn't matter who buys the club as long as the club is in good hands, that it makes him
yeah,
happy. He loves the club that much. Candy hopes Chelsea end up in good hands as he pursues Blues buyout. But I'm doubtful he's going to be the one to buy Chelsea.
well,
But the truth
that's
is,
what
it's
he
good
said.
to see. Yeah, it's good to see that he loves the club. That he's Chelsea through and through. If he's able to buy it, I think that will make a whole lot of difference. But go ahead.
Well, that's what he said yesterday. That's what he was quoted as he was walking into the stadium, but it's not the full quote there. They
Mm-hmm.
asked him, does he think that he has a chance of getting it? And he said, we'll find out on Friday when all the bids go in. So I'm assuming he's got some form of backing, and that he's going to put a bid in. So whether he's the preferred one or not, but I mean, if Roman is dealing with through Marina and Bruce Buck and Petr Cech, they're going to be collating all this stuff. They're going to know he's a Chelsea fan. He's also, like I said, he's offered to give the club a loan to get them through the season so they can play all the games.
Did he say that during the interview to offer the club a loan?
Yeah, he said it. That he's willing to give the club a loan to get them through the season.
Even if he doesn't get the club?
Yeah, even if he doesn't get it. But he also quantified that by saying as long as the government doesn't object. So, but also he stated that if he gets the club, there will be a supporter on the board. The supporters can have a representation on the board. And he also hinted at, when they asked him, they said, you've said that you want a supporter on the board. That is that still the case? He said, yeah. He said, there should be, that's the way it should be. The supporters should have a voice. He said, and they should also have, shares. So there might be a share issue, I reckon. You know, like in Germany, the supporters own 51% of the club.
Okay, let me ask this. Selling to the supporters, does it make the club stronger or weaker? And I'm guessing that will make decision making even more difficult, wouldn't it?
No, it works okay in Germany, doesn't it? There's no issue in Germany. The only thing is that does is it stops people doing things that they shouldn't do. That at the end of the day, if they have 51%, there's obviously going to be people on the board, which he's planning anyway. So that stops the club from maybe selling a player the fans don't want to sell, things like that, right? But ultimately, supporters are going to, if you go and say, we haven't got the money, we want to send Lukaku back, etc., the fans aren't going to object to that either. If it's the right thing for the club, it just gives the fans a chance to voice an opinion as well.
I think what you would say, what you could argue will be the most important aspect of, getting the fans involved or to that measure in terms of being part of the board is that something like this sanction of a thing wouldn't befall the club again. It won't happen to an extent where you will hurt the club.
Yeah.
Because that will make that is the fans part owners of Chelsea Football Club, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the government is stating that they don't want to hurt Chelsea because it's a institution and a company.
No, I'm asking what I'm talking about is this. They asked the part of Nick Kendy's idea to bring in that is to make the fans part of the board, which involves selling shares, right?
No, they will nominate a member, right? All the supporters groups, and there's already the supporters trust, isn't there?
So does that make them part owners of Chelsea Football Club?
No, the supporters trust are a voice for the supporters, right?
That is just to get their opinion.
Yeah, they give their opinion, etc.
Here's what I'm trying to say here. I was thinking, but now you've corrected me. I think if we can find somebody who's willing to sell part of the club as shares to fans, then it will make it very difficult for the government sanctions to affect the club next time. But as long as the whole thing, that is 100% ownership of the club belongs to an outsider, a foreign national or a foreign company body like the Saudi media group, the government will always be able to sanction the club if they find any reason to do so. But if the fans are part owners of the club, then it will be difficult, don't you think?
Yeah, because well, the thing is, even now, right? The government are trying to be careful. That's why they're making allowances because the door, because I said it the other day. I think it was Saturday. I said it, right? Ultimately, the supporters of voters, when you go to an election, right? People are, if you anger people enough, they're not going to vote for you either, right? And so ultimately, you've got to keep the public happy as well. I mean, forget all the idiot rival fans who just like spouting off and bantering and trolling. Like, forget all that. Generally, the public don't, even non-Chelsea fans, the public won't want to see the government like destroy a club, any other clubs. I mean, the response to when Berry went bust from the general public was quite loud, and they've got to be careful. So we have to wait till Friday. Let's see what bids go in. Like maybe Saturday. The most likely will be next Monday that we'll get news of who it's going to be, because you're not going to get anything over the weekend, are you? It's going to be Friday, but because it's rain handling it and it's behind the UK, what, by 8 to 10 hours, depending where you are. It's possible something might break late Friday night in the UK.
Yeah. So now so you're saying that for us to find out who the new owner will be, you said until Monday next week.
Yeah, I reckon by Monday there'll be an announcement by Rain, and then what'll happen is Rain will negotiate with the government. They will have to prove. They will have to prove Roman's not getting anything out of it. Roman will decide which one he wants to accept, and then he'll instruct Rain who he wants to accept, and then things will start getting moving.
Okay. Can you look at this comment? Yeah, can you look at this comment? Look at this comment by Just Viola on the screen. It says, which says, I went to fetch this tweet from a Londoner and it's worrying me. Nick Candy is a Tory donor. We should be firmly against him having anything to do with Chelsea Football Club. I don't understand British politics very well, but given the fact that he's a Tory donor, how does that affect his ownership of the club if eventually he becomes the new owner?
Well, let's say Roman chooses him. Yeah, right. If Roman chooses him,
and let's establish this: does Roman does he have the right to choose?
Yeah, he just right. All the tenders go in. He gets told by Rain, and then he turns around and he says, "This is the one he wants." Right. It then gets presented to the government, and the government have to accept its choice as well, and then the negotiations start. The fact that he's a Tory donor, if Roman picks him, yeah, it's going to be more likely they're going to be okay with it. So, Tory donor, right? British politics, right? I tried to explain this the other day. The opposition, like Labour, for example, right? They're predominantly funded by the unions because it used to be left wing.
So can you address Jos Viola's concern?
I'm going to address it. I'm trying to address it by being factual, right? So Labour is predominantly funded by the unions, and it has a membership. Members pay so much a month, and the money gets pumped into Labour for elections and things like that. The Conservatives or the Tories, yeah. So the current government is Conservative, but for short they're called Tories, right? They get funding.
And sorry, I want to take this opportunity to say hello to VJ, Tavago, and Just Viola. Thank you guys for participating in the chat. I know you're all busy. Go ahead, Staff.
Right, their funding comes from rich people, basically, people who've got money. Right. The only thing wrong with that is that they hand out things to like they become lords or they become Sir. So he could end up being Sir Nick Candy because he's given them money. But the thing is, like I said, if Romans thinks that he's the best one, yeah, then the Tories are not going to object to it. They ain't gonna try stopping it, right? Because Nick Candy's basically funding them. But
So that's an advantage for him.
it can be an advantage. I understand where Just Viola's coming from. Yeah, that is it a she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that she's maybe concerned that he's going to basically just be a yes man to the government, etc., right? Or that the government will have too much influence. But again,
But I wouldn't. Here's the thing: I wouldn't worry too much about that because
no, I'm
he's
not. I'm not
buying
worried
it.
about it. I said I understand where she's coming from, right? But it's not that big a deal to me because I told you the whole sanction thing is cosmetic, right? It's for their own purposes. It's to make themselves look good because they've been under pressure, right? And now suddenly they're willing to take more refugees from the Ukraine, right? They're willing to give people who'll take Ukraine refugees into their homes. They're willing to give them money to assist with that. And they're willing to let kids come in, have an education, and all that kind of stuff. But that's cosmetic again, because there's still issues with the visas, yeah, that and the applications to get in. So the current British government, it's all cosmetic. It's about making themselves look good. So they sanctioned Roman because he's Russian, because they wanted to look good, like that they're doing something, right? But they don't actually want to kill Chelsea off, right?
Yeah, no, that's understandable. If they wanted to, I think they'd be even more
That's
strict.
why I
I think
pointed
they
out.
understand that the sanctions on the club or the restrictions on the club's activities
But
are
basically,
affecting their people, the British people, or so, and it will backfire if they're not careful how they implement it. So let's look at the next item here, which says Thomas Tuchel jokes he won't drive minibus to Lille for Champions League clash. To me, that shows a lot of commitment from him, and he's been, I think, his responses to the comments regarding the club's situation, regarding the restrictions, regarding the lack of funds, or however the press come at him, he's always had great answers, and he's showing that we're really blessed to have him. I think he's a very, very intelligent guy, and some people will see this as an opportunity to just move on. And it's easy to terminate his contract if he wants to. What do you think about Thomas Tuchel, how he's handled the whole situation, staff?
yeah. Firstly, I'll just clarify one thing, before
And let me say this: if you want to read the full article, I think you can find the full article
I've seen it all.
on
I've seen it.
FODMOB on the app and read the full article. So I'm only going to show you the title. Go ahead,
I've seen it. I've seen what he said and everything he said, right? But just to clarify one thing before I answer this, right? Chelsea have come out and said that the hotel and the aeroplane travel and everything's already paid for this Wednesday. So the restriction of 20,000 isn't applicable in this case. Okay, so everything's okay. The media are trying to make something out of nothing by saying, it could jeopardise the game, right? But I did say the other day, the likelihood is they've already paid for it. So, but he's getting asked questions, and basically he's tongue in cheek. He's saying, he probably knows that it's all paid for. Petr Cech's must have told him, right? So he's just joking with him and saying, well, if I have to drive the minibus, I'll drive the minibus. And
but there are other comments too you have to look at.
Yeah.
I just want you to talk about what do you think about his commitment and how well he's handled himself.
Well, he's handled himself well all the way through, hasn't he? in stark contrast to somebody we discussed on Saturday. Right, he's shown his loyalty to the club. One of his quotes was, because you're getting in the media, people saying Man United are going to come in for him. You've got an idiot called Piers Morgan, who's a TV celebrity, saying that Arsenal should go in for him and all this kind of stuff. But basically what he said was, I'm staying, at least, he said, I'm staying till the end of the season. Right, obviously, he can't speak beyond that because he doesn't know what a new owner will want to do. Right?
Which is how intelligent people talk. And I was
Yeah.
wondering how we still had Frank Lampard as our coach, how he'd handle the situation. I think maybe
he probably would have resigned.
Maybe he'd sound differently because he's our coach then.
Yeah. Frank Lampard would have just resigned because he's more interested in his image. Right? He would
That's
have.
hilarious, but I think he'd do that. He sounds like somebody that would do that just to save face.
It's all about himself.
Yeah.
He did that the other day. He did
Yeah.
that. Him, out of all the people who've been interviewed, right, I want to compare him to Thomas Tuchel, right? We've compared them before with the way they both handle the players, right? The way they speak to the players, right? They don't Tuchel doesn't ignore anybody, right? If he's angry with them, he'll tell them he's angry with them and why he's angry with them, like he did with Milan Star yesterday. He shouted at him and he said, "Where's your head?" And he beat his chest and then he made a mock header, right? So he's motivating him all the way through the game. When they get in the changing rooms at half time, he'll say the same thing to him again. Come on, wake up. Where's your brain? Where's your mind?
Yeah.
Right,
Stav, if you don't mind, I want to take this opportunity to say hi and to Khalil Fadey, and I want to say welcome to Chelsea Perspective. Welcome to the family. Feel at home. Ask any question if you have any. And please don't forget to click on that like button and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Khalilu, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If not, please do let me know. But I know your last name probably pronounced Fadey. You're welcome to Chelsea Perspective. Go ahead, Stav.
Yeah, the Lampard would have just he ignored Tomori for nearly a year. Right. People
Honestly, a lot of stuff are starting to come out that happened under Frank Lampard that showed he was horrible at dealing with people. He ignored
because he's an arrogant
Tomori.
sod.
Yeah, he relegated what's his name, Antonio Rudiger to man, he didn't treat. I think he would have destroyed the team had he continued. Honestly, he didn't.
Yeah.
He's not a good manager. So why is he a manager?
Well, he he destroyed Kepa, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He destroyed Kepa for the whole year, right? He was destroying Kepa because it's easier for him to turn around and say he's no good or he's this, he's that, or not support him, because then people are targeting Kepa. You even get it now, right? When you watch Kepa when he's playing, if he makes a save, right, they won't give him any credit, even if it's a really great save. They'll go, well, he did what he had to do. You know what I mean? They underplay any save he makes. This is the media I'm on about, because they still want to batter him, right? So that's because of Lampard. That's because of the way Lampard treated him during that year has given Kepa that image that the press want to carry on with. But then Tuchel, total opposite, built him back up again. He supported him in the media, right? When he does something, it's visible with Tuchel, right? And it was the same with Jose Mourinho first time round. He was the same. He would defend his players to the hilt. You know what I mean? Yeah. How many times would you see Mourinho run on the pitch and hug his players and show what he thinks of them? You know what I mean? But Lampard, he'd do it once in a blue moon. He'd go out, he'd maybe shake one or two hands, right? But it's all about him. He was too busy fist pumping. Even when he went on the pitch to celebrate, he was fist pumping. right?
Yeah, again, I don't know the argument about his legacy being intact. I think the issue of, I think if him leaving Chelsea for Manchester City, that you could argue isn't so much of a problem, but him denying, it's a denial, whatever, however you see it, and from what angle you want to see it, he denied the club practically, if you ask me. So that's by the way. Let's look at the next topic here, which says Havertz denies deliberately elbowing Newcastle defender Burn. This guy is 8 feet tall. I think you could argue Hazard was a lucky chap on that day, although he didn't mean to hurt the guy. He jumps, and usually when players jump for an aerial battle, they have their hands up to like this way to create more space and also to help them lift properly. But you could argue he was lucky not to have been red carded. Wouldn't you say? And if you're in the chat, let us know whether Hazard should have been red carded or whether
Harvard.
he was lucky. How about you? What do you think, Stav?
Yeah, the referee, right, was asked about it, right, and he said he was only looking at the ball. He never took his eye off the ball.
I think
right?
that's what saved him.
Yeah, because well, it is like you cannot jump without moving your arms, right? Yeah, to get elevation, right? He doesn't know how close he is behind him, right? He didn't look at him. Now, if you contrast that with Navigator on Mason Mount, he actually looked at Mason Mount and flung his arm out. Yeah, he actually looked at him and deliberately flung his arm out. He didn't make contact with the elbow. He made contact with the arm, but it was a deliberate attempt to stop him getting to the ball. Right? This isn't the same thing. He's like looking at the ball and he jumps. You know what I mean? So it's totally different.
Yeah, his eyes was on the ball. But would you say for some other referee it would have been a red card because some other referee wouldn't even look at it that much?
Yeah, well, maybe so, but then it wouldn't be justified, would it? Because you're going to compare that where two players are jumping for the ball. He hasn't taken his eye off the ball, right? To the one I've already mentioned with Keita and Mount, and the one on Chalobah by Sadio Mane. He actually flicks his leg out. He's missed the ball, and then he flicks the leg into Chalobah, right? So the referee didn't even book him. So he saw that differently as well. So that referee saw something differently, right? Most likely.
Yeah, I think I understand your argument, and the fact is remains that some referee wouldn't even go, that wouldn't consider it twice, and they would have red carded him because I don't know. I think we can count ourselves lucky because it has happened on occasion. We've gotten red carded. Our players have been red carded for lesser offenses, actually.
Yep.
But that's by the way. Let's look at the last and final topic before we review the match, which is it's taking time to load. But you could argue again. Havertz was lucky. He was lucky. The picture didn't help matters. But I'm glad. Who was the referee again?
David Coote.
Okay, I'm glad Eric did consider the fact that his eyes was on the ball. He was focused on getting the ball. He didn't know that this guy was gonna get hit. And Havertz also did say that he was sorry because he saw that the guy was hurt, and that anybody who knows him knows his intent wasn't to hurt the guy. So the final topic we have here, I mean, you can talk about any other thing you have, any other news you have after this one. And if you're in the chat, let us know if you have any question. It says Chelsea still need to pay up to 71 million in Romelu Lukaku transfer fee to Inter Milan. Can you come in on that, Stav?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of transfers, right? They're paid over stages. Yeah, we got 160 million.
Yeah, that's always the structures. As long as it's big, even smaller, even for 35, 40 million, they're still paid over in structures over a length of time, not at the same time. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same thing when we sold Hazard. It was 160 million euros. they paid a fee up front, which I think was the 90. I think they paid 90, or maybe 70 or 80, and then the rest were like had things built into the transfer, like bonuses for Champions League, league titles, all this kind of stuff. So there's a possibility that there's some of that in this deal as well. But yeah, a lot of deals aren't always paid up front or in one go. So without knowing what the structure is, yeah, we could owe them that. But if they've got a problem with it, they can
Yeah,
demand
the
them
fact
back.
is, I'm not surprised that we're still old. I wasn't surprised when I read this. It's just that I was surprised. Why is it even a topic? Because the truth is, like you've explained, it's paid. How does Visa amortize? It says amortized payments. I'm not sure what that means to me. That I haven't seen that term before. But I'm guessing he's talking about it's paid. It's paid over a length of time. You don't have to pay it at the same
Yeah,
time.
it's paid in stages. It's the
Instead,
same
so okay,
thing with.
now, yeah, go ahead.
It's the same thing when you when we paid 71 million or 71 point whatever it was for Kepa, that's amortized. Yeah.
Hmm.
So over the 7 years, which is why they gave him the 7-year deal in the first place, right?
Hmm.
Because that would make it 10 million a year, which makes it easier to show through the books rather than a full sum being shown into the accounts. So it's an accounting thing, isn't it? Basically, it's for accounts. But they're only bringing it up because because of these sanctions, and they just want to make things look even worse for us. They want to build it up into something worse. I mean, it's not been generally mentioned that the license has changed to allow us TV money and there's prize money, and the ones who have mentioned it said it was frozen, and it's only just now breaking that it's been unfrozen. But the media just want to make the story a bigger deal. They want to turn the screws in the story, right? So, like I said, like Bobby said the other day, don't read newspapers anymore. I used to get them from here, the UK ones. You could buy them in Cyprus, but they became too expensive for a start-up. And basically, they're full of garbage. They're just nonsense. They make it up as they go along. And they just want to make the situation even worse. Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great situation within, right? But they want to basically turn the screws on us. It's the same thing with the Harvard thing, like you mentioned yesterday. They'll want to build that up. Did anybody bother printing the fact that Hakim Ziyech won 4 fouls yesterday, right? And there was others that the referee didn't give, right? He was fouled 8 or 9 times yesterday, and the referee only penalised 4 of them. So is anybody turning around and saying that Newcastle were kicking lumps out of his legs to stop him playing, right? Nobody says that, do they? So they've got big moaning about the Harvard thing, which is in the moment of play, right? He's watching the ball, and he has to jump with the ball. You can't jump with your arms down your side, right? This is like when a defender puts his hands behind his back, right? I get really infuriated with that because he can't jump. So if the ball's played over his head, he can't jump, can he? If he's got his hands behind his back. And it was a genuine attempt. He didn't look at the man. He wasn't looking to take him out. He was watching the ball. End of story. But the media just want to turn it into something, right? And even Eddie Howe didn't say anything, right? Basically, when he was asked about it, he said the referee decides on what he sees in the moment, right? He probably wouldn't have been happy about it. The worst situation was the Chalobah shirt pull, which should have been a penalty. Right? That was a worse situation because that was deliberate. He was deliberately pulling the shirt. He deliberately pulled him back, grabbed his arm. and that's more deliberate. And that's even worse because it was in the penalty box, because it was denied a penalty, right? But they decided, and the VAR decided there wasn't enough. Just because you grab hold of somebody's shirt, it doesn't mean you're actually stopping him from being able to run, right? If he's far enough ahead of you and he's going at pace, a little tug doesn't mean. You've seen it with players going down, right? There are over dramatic falls and stuff like that. So the caliber thing for me was worse, right? With Havertz, it was just in game. It's just something he has to do to jump, and he's looking at the ball. He doesn't even know the man's there, does he? Initially, because he wasn't right there, and it's only when he jumps up, the Newcastle player, that he then comes into that space that Havertz is in, and he's got to jump. He didn't look at him. He didn't fling his arm out deliberately. He's jumped, and then when you use your arms to get up, and then you use your arms to steady yourself when you're in midair, right? So if he'd have looked at him, they'd have had a case if it was deliberate. If he's looked at him, it's deliberate, and they would have had a case to complain. So they have to accept that. But I can understand them being angry.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to this topic before we start the player rating and the match review proper. This story right here, which said, and again, you can read the full story if you have the format. I'm not going to show the story here, just the title, which says, rumor has it Lukaku willing to take a pay cut to facilitate Inter return. Will they even want them? Because he's not going to go back for free.
No, because if he goes back, then we don't owe them the money, do we?
And do you think they'd want him back or anything
like
that?
No, I understand. Right, I understand his side of things. Right, he's not getting picked. It's obvious Tuchel prefers to pick Havertz. You nearly had me calling him Hazard then. He prefers to pick Havertz, and he picked Werner yesterday as well. So basically, he sees himself as being third in the pecking order. So I understand his disillusionment, but he hasn't helped himself with his body language when he has played. But he's been better the last few times he's been on the pitch. But I would imagine Inter Milan want the money. They're not going to be worried about our situation.
And I don't think they'd want him back because that's a lot of money to forfeit, if you ask me.
Yeah, and his form...
Plus they're doing well without him.
Yeah, and his general form hasn't been great. Right. And I don't know why he would want to go back anyway, because the fans aren't going to accept him. They accepted him first time round. The relationship is fractured. Let me ask you this, and if you're in the chat, let us know, what do you think? Does he still have a future at Chelsea? Because given, you could say, Kai Havertz re-emergence, his performances, because obviously we have to be objective here. We have to say the truth. That is games, we've seen in games time and time again that we're better off without him on the pitch. We're more fluid, we create more chances, we even score more goals. So what happens? Does he still have a future at Chelsea? Well, when he came on the other night at Norwich, he was only on for a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, he came on yesterday as well. Right, I think later on. And the reason he put him on is because he wanted someone who could bully the defenders and try and create good openings, right? So we went with a more attacking style. Tuchel said we started. Remember when we had the discussion yesterday? Fifth Stan said 4-3-3. Your app said something else. And then Tuchel after the game said 4-1-4-1, right? But he changed it because he wanted to get more attacking players on, right? To try and open them up. And I said, deny that. He would make changes later on. And I also said that we would change systems because he went to a back five at one point, which he admitted himself, right? So he does that during games. That's why it's so difficult to work out what he's doing. Yeah, what he wants to do. But he changed it 2 or 3 times mid-game, right? But I think
Okay,
Lukaku
I don't
needs
think you've
to,
answered my question, Stav.
which
Does
was
he still
gone.
have a future at Chelsea?
How can we know? If you were asking me and Roman was still the owner, I would say no. But you don't know what a new owner wants to do. The new owner might want to move him on. The new owner might want to keep him. Yeah, right. We don't know. It's up in the air. Everything's up in the air at the moment, right? If Roman was staying, probably not, because I don't think Tuchel really wants him. But a new owner might
And
come in.
it's not working really. Maybe
Well,
not under Tuchel.
oh, I'm trying not to be overcritical of him, right?
I'm trying at the same
He
time, but
became
I think we can all agree that it's really not working. And we cannot
no,
say the system is,
no,
but
not
go ahead.
necessarily. No, not necessarily,
Uh,
because in a 4-3-3 it might work. In a 4-4-2 it might work. If he wants to play one up top and like the 4-1-4-1, if
uh,
Havertz was injured yesterday, who would he have played up top? I certainly wouldn't have played Werner on his own.
so
Do you
what
know
do
what I'm
you think
saying?
will happen, Stav?
I think that we'll offload him, right? He'll go somewhere else, even if it's only on loan, right? I can't see Inter Milan. They still have their own financial issues and ownership issues. They'll want the money. He'll probably go on loan, and then if it ends up Tuchel does, who knows? The owner might come in and want to bring someone else in and not want to keep Tuchel. That's why
Mhm.
Tuchel's staying until the end of the season. He's not saying he wants to leave, but he wants to see what the new owner wants to do. He wants to see what his options are when the new owner comes in, because he's gonna want new additions to the squad, isn't he? Let's be
Mhm.
honest, right? So, like I said, it's all up in the air. As it stands, I don't think so. I don't think he'll stay. He's obviously not happy himself. All I can say to Lukaku is when you come on, you're still wearing that shirt and that badge. Get your finger out, and if you want to move, you've got to prove to prospective clubs that.
That's what makes the whole thing even more difficult. He's not on form. He's not been playing well. He
It's
looks. I
difficult.
don't know how that's going to work. And who's going to pay us the money we want for him?
Nobody's going to pay us some money, are they? Like, listen, right, at the end of the day, there's Barcelona have been connected to him, right? And he'll definitely have to cut his wage demands to go there. Newcastle could be in for him, right? They can afford him. It's not a big gamble for them.
Mm-hmm.
They really need a headline striker. They've made some moves and
They need a
stepped
statement
things up.
signing.
Hey, sorry.
They need a statement signing.
Yeah, they need a statement signing, right? They're going to have 2 or 3 in the summer, because with Mike Ashley having been so frugal and not spending, right? They have a 52,000 capacity, yeah. And Newcastle United fans are crazy. They'll buy a shirt. They'll have high shirt sales, merchandising sales, even though they keep taking the shirt off when the sun's out, right? So they've got the ability to buy people without infringing financial fair play at the moment, but eventually they will do, right? So this summer's going to be a big summer for them. They need a headline striker, right? It's a question of whether Eddie Howe thinks he's a headline striker that he wants. Okay, and there was questioning whether they would keep Eddie Howe, but they will, because he's done a good job. 1 defeat in 10 games. moved him up to 14th. So he's doing a good enough job with average squad. So they'll keep him and they'll give him signings, and they can make those signings because of the way Mike Ashley ran the club, because they have the ceiling, the spending ceiling. But after they've made their first initial headline summer signings, then they're going to get hit by financial fair play, because then they'll go above whatever they were allowed. So, but they can still afford that because they'll just pay the tax, won't they? Their luxury tax. They can afford to pay the luxury tax. We're not in that situation at the moment. So, so we can't do that. Right?
So, Vago, welcome to the panel. If you don't mind, Stav, go ahead, Stav, so that I can bring Vago in.
Yeah.
I know he joined probably because he wanted to say something.
Yeah. So I see him moving, whether it's on loan or whether it's a sale. I don't think Barcelona can pay the kind of money, right? Because we're going to want whatever we owe Inter Milan or close to it to let him go.
If
that's going to be a consideration. Yeah, that's going to be a consideration as well, whether he stays or goes. With regards to his form, I think people have been a bit harsh because he came in, like I said, he had thigh injuries or muscle strains when he came in. He started off okay. He's been in and out of the team. He had COVID, came back. Then he did the interview and everyone's been on his case, right? And I get the feeling that he's one of these sensitive types who easily gets upset.
No, I think we already know that. So, Stav, let's bring in Tobago, then we can go into the player rating, and we'll talk about the match overall, if you don't mind. So, Tobago, what do you want to say? I think you had something in mind. That was why you had to jump in.
You know, I'm a big fan of Lukaku, so I came in for Lukaku. How are you guys?
We're fine, thank you. Nice to have you on the panel. How are you doing?
I'm good. Actually, to be honest, I don't normally judge a player on his first season. He might be on and off. Some players come in the first season and do well. Some others need to adjust. And as Steph said, he had injury, COVID and stuff, and then he didn't have a pre-season with the players. I know he trained a lot with the players so far, but we don't know anything what is happening. So hopefully, I'll judge Lukaku next season. And then just give me a few seconds. I need to attend something.
Here's my argument for those that are arguing to give him one more season. How is he going to get the chance to prove himself if the team, whenever he's not playing, the team does better than they do in his absence? That creates a very, very big problem for him. And Stav, I think we're in a very, very precarious situation here, because to sell him, we're not going to sell him for half the price we bought him for. To go on loan, he's on a very high wage. He still remains on a wage bill. To keep him, he wouldn't be happy to stay. That could potentially lead to issues in the dressing room. If we were up to you, Stav, what are you going to do? How are you going to handle this situation?
Right, look, you never know what's going to happen. Havertz might get injured, right? Could be out 2-3 months, 4 months, whatever, right? And then suddenly you're thinking, oh, well, we got rid of Lukaku and there's no one to play with. You can't just go through a whole season, right, with Havertz, right? I think Werner's on the way out, right? That's what I think. He's another guy who doesn't look happy. And he actually said it.
Yeah, he doesn't look happy.
Yeah, he actually said it in Germany, right? This is like, I want to try avoid doing this, but this is where we go back to the stubbornness and the system. Yeah, you have to adapt the system sometimes. We can't be full flowing all the time, right? Look at the way we discussed yesterday, and we discussed Newcastle's formation, right? A 5 and a 4, and I said to you, we're getting behind this in the spaces and that. Remember, right? That's why Werner's probably starting ahead of Lukaku, but they ended up playing a high line. They had the back 5, but they pressed high up the pitch, right? And we still tried to play out from the back. Now this brings me back to the stubbornness, right? Sometimes you need a big meaty guy, strong guy, who you can pump the ball up to, right, and then try and bully the central defenders. And he did that against Arsenal early season. So there is a place for him.
Understood. Let's come back now. Tobacco, go ahead and finish. You're letting us know you're back.
To be honest, first of all, sometimes our board need to do more because, like, Lukaku, we know his strength. It doesn't move. It doesn't do all the strikers do, like Benzema and Kane. So, to be honest, they should have looked at how Thomas Tuchel plays and then get a proper striker who can fit in the system. For now, we have him, so we need to utilize him and try to get best out of him. But I don't know, there will be still time. So hopefully, there will be still time for him. Also, I've just looked at Usman Dembele like recently at Barcelona. That guy likes to cross early balls for the strikers and what. So hopefully, Chelsea can back Tuchel with Usman Dembele. Maybe Lukaku can score more because that guy is so good on crossing early crosses. So Lukaku just needs someone who can just pass him early so that he can run and score. So Chelsea is calling for balls so many times, and then Kovacic, Jorginho, Kandu, whoever's there, just playing sideways and stuff. So our taking players or our midfielders need to just release any balls for Lukaku, even for Kai Havertz, because yesterday we played very well, but we didn't release the ball quick enough. So hopefully we'll fix that in the summer.
Can I just answer that?
I get your argument, and I say, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, right? Like I just said a couple of minutes ago regarding the system and the stubbornness, right? We have players who can cross the ball. We already have them, right? But during the season, that system was to have 2 players playing centrally behind the false 9 or the striker. They weren't allowed to go out wide, right? If he brings Dembele in and then he plays him as a number 10 behind the striker, you got the same thing again. He's not gonna be crossing the ball, right? He's no better than Pulisic. He's no better than Ziyech, right? Maybe he's better than Callum Hudson-Odoi, but that's Callum Hudson-Odoi at his age now, right? It doesn't mean he's going to be better than Callum Hudson-Odoi once Odoi's fully fit and he gets a run of games and he starts developing. Right? We have to remember the guy was out for quite a long time with injury, and it was a bad injury, one you don't recover with it instantly. So I don't think that's an issue, right? Getting crosses in for Lukaku, because it's the system and the way we play that doesn't create the crosses for Lukaku, right? Because we play with the wing backs, and the wing backs are meant to be the ones providing the width and the crosses, i.e. whether that's Alonso or Chilwell, or whether that's Reece James or Aspie, right? But all those 4 players have this inherent thing about cutting in and going inside, which is why I've always said allow the 2 10s to play more wide, go out wide, and then the wing backs can cut inside, and then we've got width. But what we do is we have wing backs, they cut inside, you've got the 2 10s inside, right? And it makes it easier to defend against, because they only have to defend the centre of the pitch, right? And there's no natural width. With Hazard, let's go back to Hazard a minute, right? Hazard used to get to the byline as well and cross from the byline. He wasn't selfish. He wasn't greedy, right? He didn't have a problem with going out wide, crossing the ball right near the corner post or right on the goal line, right from out wide. He could come inside, he could go up the middle, he could do everything right. We've got players like that, but they're up to this point, until the Tottenham game, we didn't play the number 10s with any width. That all came from the wing backs, right? And we're still trying to play a system. And Tuchel said it yesterday.
All right, let's I think.
I don't see Dembele changing anything.
All right. Let's that is if we sign him actually. So I already have an issue to deal with, and we're losing sponsors over something we shouldn't be losing sponsors. When then we sign somebody who is there's an argument that he's racist. I think that creates more problems. So now let's go straight to the talk. Let's talk about the match. Tobago, what do you think about the game overall? About the performance?
To be honest, the game we played well, but not well enough. Because to be honest, in the first half, just like a Burnley game, we moved the ball so slow. I don't know what was happening with our players.
Mm-hmm.
The only way, if you can win games with position football, we need to play the more quicker so that you can create more chances for our attacking players. So yesterday we didn't do that. I don't know what happened. Is maybe the mentality of the players. The noise are happening around us. We'll never know. So hopefully, Tuchel can fix that. So, but yesterday I wasn't happy with the performance, especially.
Sam, do you agree with them? You okay with the performance, or do you have reservations?
I think we're being too harsh on our own players, right? I addressed the thing with Ziyech getting kicked everywhere. They were. You have to give Newcastle credit. They went in with a game plan, right? They pressed high. They put pressure on Jorginho, right? They put pressure on the left back and right back because they knew that they're not a left back or a right back. So we played with 4 centre halves, right? Now you have to give the opposition credit. And this goes back to what I said before. Although we didn't play that system yesterday, right? We're too rigid, right, to what we want to play. And I said before we even started yesterday that I didn't really fancy Jorginho in this game, right? Because of their midfielders who were pressing high. And that he would slow the tempo down. And move the ball slowly. And we did that. We kept trying to play out from the back. And that's why they pressed us high. If they're pressing us high, they know we're going to do that. They know our weaknesses. Yeah? So that's why you have to change the formation 2 or 3 times during the game. Fair play, he reacted to what they were doing. And in the end, we found the way through. Right?
So overall, what do you think about, but you say something, I think you've refused to blame the players, and I'm with you because so many factors could have played, could have contributed to the way they played. We played not badly. It wasn't one of our worst games. It wasn't also one of our best games. The players weren't 100% if you look at them. They're humans after all, and they're hearing everything that's going on. And the truth remains, you could argue that it's playing on their minds, whatever that's going on. Even Kai Havertz, when he was interviewed, talked about it. They know about it, but all they could do is just put in 100% to get a win for the fans, and they're concerned also for the staff. So I think that thing does the situation that we're facing right now at the club does play a role on, you know, affected the performance of the players. No, no problem, bro. I see your message. I know you are working. I appreciate you finding time to join. So that's not an issue. Yeah. So, Stav, overall, you've refused to blame the players, and I'm not going to do the same either. It wasn't their fault. It
I
was a you could argue it was a professional performance.
Yeah, you have to give Newcastle credit as well.
Yeah, exactly. You have to give Newcastle credit also because they defended deep, and we saw that they play five at the back. They were out to frustrate us, and I liked it that our players didn't get frustrated. They kept pushing, they kept trying, and it could have been two because Kai Havertz had the goal, had a chance that he headed into the hands of the goalkeeper. So it wasn't that bad, and again, but at the same time, it wasn't the best of performances from our boys. So let's go straight into the ratings, so I can round off. I want to see if I can find the time to join Matt's chat, which starts in 30 minutes. So between the sticks, Mendy started. Stab, what rating would you give Mendy, and what do you think about his performance overall in that game?
Probably a 7. He was a bit ropey a couple of times with his feet. He always gives me nerves when the ball goes back to him. But he didn't do anything badly. Maybe a couple of times he could have been a bit more positive coming for the ball in the air. That's starting to worry me, is that he's starting to look more and more shaky on crosses and stuff. And that's because teams setting up in front of him to stop him coming out. Yeah, so it's down to the thing, but 7. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great.
I will give him 7, but then again, I will next time. There's something that's become constant in every game. Mendy must misplace a pass in a dangerous manner. That's like it has happened. It's happened. Yeah, I understand. It has happened in almost about 4-5 games in a row now that he passes the ball straight to the opposition, and whenever he does that, he's never in a position to even be ready to stop the ball from going into his net. We've just been lucky, and he did that again yesterday. So it has repeated so much that I'm really concerned now. So I think the average rating is 7. Just Yola rates him 7.5. Honestly, I'd rate him 6, but I think 7 wins in this case. How about Malang Sarr for you, Gustav? What do you think?
Well, they had a couple of good moments, but they had some shaky ones as well. And Tuchel had to have a go at him and G him up. I'll go 7 again. Because there was
I think I'd give Malang Sarr a 7. He was defensively sound. And if you remember, I told you guys we're not going to concede because we have a back four, and also we have Kante on the pitch. I think no matter where he plays on the pitch, I think he provides proper security, protection for our defense, if you like. So I give Malang Sarr 7. You can argue that he did well because Kante was on the pitch. Opposition players didn't have a go at us that much. Sarr, okay, I think Sarr gets 6.5. Tobago says 6. 6.5. Just Viola says 6, and I want to give him 6. So 6 wins. Let's give him a 6. How about Antonio Rudiger?
Yeah, Antonio Rudiger, isn't he? But although they pressed us high, they didn't really create that many chances either. So I'll give him 7. And I'll give Christensen 7 as well. Save you the time.
Yeah, I'll give Rudiger a 7. And I think we can go. We have 2 7s, 1 8. I'm not sure about Jos Viola's vote, but I think let's give him 7. And for Christensen also, I'll give him a 7. Let us know what you think about Christensen if you're in the chat. What would you rate him? So Rudiger has 2 8s. Okay, let me just give Rudiger 8. I think he deserves an 8.
Go on then.
He did quite well, and he even made some good runs. His signature runs, he made it on 2 occasions. So he did well. Christensen 7. I think we can all agree that Christensen got a 7. Okay, what you said 7 for Christensen, right? How about Chalobah?
Possibly, I think I'm going to have to give him a 6 because I'm starting to get a bit nervy at his propensity to be tugging people's shirts, making rash challenges. Once he's okay when the player's in front of him, but once someone gets by him, he makes me nervous. If someone
Yeah, I think I'll give Chalobah a 6, and I'm with you. I think he's looked a bit too shaky for me since his return from injury. He's making some poor decisions, handling the ball, stretching his arms, which he shouldn't be doing inside the 18-yard box. I think you could argue that that's something with time. I think he will overcome those little mistakes that highlights the fact that still not that much that experienced, but I think he makes some rash decisions. Sometimes when he decides to pass the ball backwards with his head, you can see that it wasn't executed properly. That is risky. I found him in some risky situations, if you like. So a 6 for me. He's doing well, but he still have to, work on his decision making when he's defended. How about Jorginho for you?
I thought he looked a bit ropey. He gave the ball away a few times. Under normal circumstances, I would have said maybe 5 or 6, but I'll give him a 7 for that ball at the end.
Yeah, I'll give Jorginho an 8. Yeah, for that assist. Without that assist, I don't think the game would have ended a draw. It wasn't it the one. Who was the person? Was it a cross? The first one that Kai Havertz headed into the hand of the goalkeeper. Whose cross was it? I don't remember. But I'll give Jorginho an 8. Let's see if 8 wins. You have 2 7s. I'm not sure about just Viola's vote, but I think we can all agree. Let's just give him a 7. But I think he did well in that game. How about Werner?
I'll give him the same as Chalobah. 6.
Yeah, I've got one. If I give Werner a 5, I think he was awful in that game. I didn't know, and I didn't expect him to start. I never wanted him to start because he has an issue. His touch is so poor. I don't think that will ever change at this age. Touches in football is something. Yeah, it's something that you learn when you started playing football newly. So Werner deserves a 5, and I think everybody in the chat can agree he was awful in that game. Yeah, how about Mount? If you're in the chat, let us know what you think about Mason Mount. How would you rate Mount, Stav?
I don't think he was that bad. I think when we did get the ball forward, he was okay. He tried to make an effort to help defend as well. I think the reason he was taken off was because Tuchel wanted to inject a bit more up front. So I'll give him 7.
Yeah, I think Mount, for me, I'll give him a 7. Let's wait for Just Viola's vote. Tobago he gave Mount a 6. Let's see. Just Viola says Mount 6.5, so we can agree Mount gets, I think, 6 wins. What did you give him?
Me, 7.
We have 2 7s. I think let's go.
I think people are being too harsh on him.
Yeah, 7. I think he did his best. He contributed defensively and attacking wise. I think he did well. How about N'Golo Kante for you?
I'd give him an 8 because he still showed lots of energy. He got forward. He got back to defend. He gave Jorginho an out ball a few times. So I think, in my opinion, maybe only Havertz played better than him.
Okay, I'll give him an 8. I agree with you. Tobago says 8 for Kante. Just Viola, I think we already beat you to that because you just are the lone person now if you change the number. How about Ziyech for you?
I think he did a lot of good things. He moved around. He got back. He tackled a few times. He tracked back. He made some good challenges. When he wasn't getting kicked, he was getting into good areas. I'll give him an 8 as well, because I have to take into account the way they targeted him as well and how he stood up to being targeted.
I understand. I'll give him a 7. It wasn't one of his best games. He did well, but it wasn't one of his best games. I think he was the person that crossed that ball for Havertz, right?
Yeah. This is what I'm saying.
It was him. The one he nodded into the hands of the goalkeeper.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that I give him an 8 because I took into account the fact that he was fouled 8 or 9 times and they targeted him, which shows that they feared him, right? And yet he still managed to produce some things despite being kicked. It's I can't undermark him, in my opinion, because of the way he was targeted.
I think a 7 wins it because we have 2 7s in the chat. So 7 wins it for him. So for the number 9 man, honestly, I'll give the guy, because he missed the chance, I'll give him a 9 for me.
Yep, me too.
9 for Havertz. If you're in the chat, what's your rating for Kai Havertz? Let's wait for the vote for the people in the chat. I think Havertz was brilliant, and I think what I like the most about him is his runs. I think he makes good runs, and he's hardly offside actually. He times his runs very, very well. He just doesn't run in straight down. He usually runs diagonally, watching the opposition defense, so he's not offside. So I think 9 wins it. Tobago wants to give him a 10, but I think 9 wins it. And who is your man of the match? Let me ask you, Stav. If you're in the chat, let us know who your man of the match is.
Havertz.
Havertz for me too, and I think I'll make a video for him today. Hopefully I have the energy to make it, but I think I will. Kai Havertz for us is, I think he's deservedly, I think he won the one of the match, if you ask me, deservedly so. Congratulations to him. I think it was a good performance, and we've seen of late how good he can be. I think he has one of the most, delicious touches and all of his teammates. Sorry?
He hasn't even reached his peak ultimate form yet. That's what's so frightening. There's more to come.
Yeah, there's more to come from him, and the kid is good. And with that, I think we've come for the end of the show for today. And just Viola, I hope you marked where we started the player ratings or match review, if you like. Please, if you did, that would be helpful to me so that I can cut it out and upload it as a separate video. Yes, sublime touch. But I like the word delicious. Yeah, Kai Havertz is such a good touch. King Kai is good. So I say thank you to George Viola. Thank you to Tobago. Thank you to Vijay, who was here early. Thank you to earlier. Thank you to MCIG, who was also here earlier. I say see you guys tomorrow for another Blue Money show.
Whose show are you joining?
Yes, please do show. Make sure you join.
You're joining somebody else's show now.
Yeah, Matt. I'm going to try and join his show. Right.
What's his channel? His
channel. I'll get the link. I'll send it to you.
All right.
Okay, so guys, with that, we've come to the end of today's Blue Money show. See you guys tomorrow for another Blue Money show. God bless us all, and bye.